Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward. Hey guys, Altcoin Sherpa here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I'm not an expert. Do your own research. Okay, so I took a few days from the market. I was on a quick holiday and I am very excited to get back to the charts here. We'll review BTC USD on the daily and then go from there. Overall, I still believe that the $45,000 to $50,000 area is like the next area up. I've had this thesis for quite some time, a few weeks now. The reason is that I felt that these lows took a long time to form, as you can see back in January of 2021. This was just an example of a kind of a consolidation and like a low forming. Same deal with like March. And if you look back at some of the previous price history for Bitcoin too, lows generally take a long time to form. And the longer or the bigger the move down or the bigger the move up, the longer that it usually takes for price to chop around and consolidate. I strongly still felt that 45 to 50,000 would be the next area up. And after that, I have no idea. Like, you know, we could make new lows. We could go to $20,000 or something like that. But before that, I think that we hit 45 to 50,000. There's a lot of reasons for that. We wiped out a lot of traders on this big move down. There were a lot of liquidations, and people just felt a lot of pain. And given the amount of liquidity collected on this big move down, it makes more sense to me that there's higher liquidity up near $45,000 to $50,000. So given that, and given the fact that price has ping-ponged around for quite some time, personally, I believe that max pain is up, and the overall sentiment of the market is very bearish too. I think that a lot of people sold in the mid-low 30s, and they're all expecting for lower prices around like you know, the mid 20s or high 20s or around there. But in the short term, I still feel that 50,000 or so will get tapped. And I'm even wondering if price goes even higher than we think, up to like 55,000 or something like that. Entirely possible. Now, does this mean that like price is just going to make like a big reversal? Like, I think that's unlikely personally. I think that it's more likely that price does something like this. And I've had this idea for a while too, but once it pulls back from this area, go up to 50,000 or something like that, make some sort of higher low, and then we'll see something like this, like you know, lower high, higher low type of situation. This would make sense to me. If in fact these lows are the bottom around 30,000. I'm still not sure yet, honestly. Like, I'm waiting to see the reaction of how strong this big move up to 45 to 50,000 is. But to me, I feel that 50,000 is like the next target or around there. From that point, I honestly, as I said, I have no idea. Like, price could go up higher to like 55,000 and then pull back. I do believe that there is going to be a very profitable short around 47 or so, or 57 if it gets there, but quite possibly around 50,000. There should be a lot of sellers in that area for a lot of reasons. But let's just see, like, you know, once I see the reaction from there, I can kind of make better decisions and better outlooks on the macro. But for now, I believe that 45 to 50 is the next move up. From there, like, you know, we could make new lows to 20 for all we know. I have no idea. But 30,000 could just be the bottom, and then we hit some sort of range and consolidation for the next few months. And that's kind of like the overall outlook. 200-day EMA right now is acting as resistance. Usually, like you already saw, this was resistance back in late May of 20th of May 2021, and price pulled back. And right now it's currently resistance again. And we're seeing right now like a lot of confluence from the EMA perspective. This is the 200 EMA again. It's on the 4-hour. This is a trade idea that I currently have right now is price pulling back from this region because it hasn't tapped this 200 EMA on the 4-hour in quite some time. And usually the 200 EMA is kind of like an indicator that I like to use for SR levels. I personally believe that price could pull back from here and we might see something like 38K or like mid 37s, and that's like where I have my bids right now, is where price will just go ahead, pull back from here, and then we'll see kind of these higher areas like 45 to 50,000. That's like my current trade idea, and that's where I have my bids right now. Is like the 37K area. I have them layered all throughout, like 36 to 38K. And let's just see. Like, you know, I think that I still feel pretty good that 45 to 50,000 will get tapped. So those are my short-term outlooks for BTC USD. If we look at higher time frame charts, the weekly did close extremely nice overall. Like, this is like a pretty bullish candle. I don't really think you need high sell volume quite yet, because this big move down wiped so many people out. And these crazy wicks, this choppy price environment has taken out a lot of the sellers, in my opinion, around $40,000. And again, that's one of the reasons why I do feel that like 45 or so will get tapped, is because like a lot of these sellers have been tapped already over and over throughout 37 to 40,000 throughout this range. And price was just sucking liquidity from both sides of that range. As you can see, like people were getting really chopped up as price went back and forth throughout this 37 to 40,000 area. Or I'm sorry, more like 30,000 to 40,000. 30,000 to 40,000. This range was quite brutal for a lot of people, but in my opinion, like these sellers were getting tapped over and over. So I still feel that price is going to go higher, but you know, we might see one last visit to 37 first. From higher time frame charts on BTC USD, the weekly still glows really well last week, in my opinion. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see like this kind of pull back up to 50,000 and then pull back again. Yeah, so looks decent on higher time frame charts. Like, is this like a bear market? Like, I am not so sure. Personally, I didn't think this was like accumulation. I always thought this was kind of distribution, but I didn't really have the balls to sell everything here like I should have. But in terms of this being over, like is the bear market just here, guys? And like, you know, are we going to see like 20,000 or lower? I mean, you never say never with Bitcoin. Personally, I'm still hopeful that we are going to see something like we saw back in 2020. So if you notice this type of price action here in April, where price is distributing over a several week period, I'm hoping that we see something similar to how we saw back in July of 2020, where price kind of just ranged a little bit, like how we saw here, pulled back, consolidated even more, and then blitzed up. Now, obviously, the context is way different back in August 2020, previous to or compared to right now, but this is like kind of the price action that I'd like to see. Just price kind of, you know, doing something like this where it just looks like it's distributing, and this is like just over a big drop, and then it consolidates for a while, and then it moves up. I would love to see that for Bitcoin right now. Will it happen? I have no idea. Like it would be nice to see Bitcoin, as I said, do something like this where we kind of go back up 50,000 and then re-enter this range and then just chop around for a while, and then make a big move up in the fall and winter. That would be fantastic in my opinion. But you know, let's just see. Again, 45 to 50,000 is my next level up for a big move. It would be surprising to me if price just kind of like hit 41,000 and then just like started pulling back huge. In my opinion, that would require some sort of macro traditional finance, like market conditions. I don't know what would happen for this, like war or fuck, who knows. Just like Feds raising the rates. Like, you know, there's a whole slew of different like doomsday scenarios for Bitcoin doing this, but overall, like I don't think that it's going to go to 20,000 straight from here. Like it would surprise me personally, but I don't know. Let's just see. I think that, you know, 45 to 50,000 is like the next area up. ETHUSD looks like a better chart to me than BTC. Low is forming here, in my opinion, in the short term at least, and I think that it follows Bitcoin for the most part. I think that it will hit like the mid 3Ks or so, or low mid 3Ks is kind of like my area to target. And after that, again, similar to Bitcoin, I have no idea. Like there's like this is like an area that is like pretty interesting to me, like this 3,400 area, and price can just kind of go up to like, you know, here, and then pull back, and then just like consolidate for a while. That would make a lot of sense to me as well. And yeah, I don't know. Like it seems like this type of price action is what's going to happen for ETH, but I don't expect ETH to outperform Bitcoin in the short term, and like ETH BTC is reflected in that. So we can like look at the overall chart for ETH BTC. Overall, like this is something that I was kind of like expecting. I would not be surprised if this just makes like a lower low and then a lower high, and this just goes to like 0.05. This is kind of like the next area, in my opinion, to view. This moved so strongly all throughout 2021. If you look and zoom out at the 3-day, 2021 was just really strong for ETH BTC. I mean, it went up several multiples, and it did really well. But I think that it's now time for Bitcoin to kind of reestablish some market dominance, and ETH BTC will consolidate quite a bit. I mean, it did make a big move already recently, so like it makes sense to me that this consolidates and chops around for a bit and forms a low. With that said, like ETH BTC still is in a bullish market structure, so that's something that can't really be denied. But it wouldn't surprise me at all to see something like this, like we saw back in February, where we just see like some choppy price action and price just to form some sort of low. Maybe not here, but maybe a little lower. So like, what if BTC does make a big move up to like 50,000, then I think that ETH BTC will go down personally. Like 0.5 is like kind of my area of interest, in my opinion. So that's kind of like what I'm viewing for ETH BTC, and yeah, that's kind of like my overall idea for ETH BTC. I still feel that this is in a bullish market structure though, so we could just see this consolidate for a while and form a low throughout the summer, and then it moves strongly again in the fall and winter of 2021. More likely the winter if this consolidates for a while. The main reason for that is that I think that Bitcoin, I'm still of the belief that Bitcoin is in a bullish market structure, and Bitcoin will move in the fall. So usually if Bitcoin's moving strongly, alt BTC pairs usually suffer a little bit, and we might see something similar to how we saw it back in the fall of 2020, where altcoins pulled back. I don't quite think that they'll pull back like that in the USD pairs, but I do think that they will suffer in the alt BTC pair myself. But like I'm really conflicted with that idea, even because a lot of alt BTC pairs don't even look like they moved very hard. They haven't really, you know, mooned relative to their alt USD pairs, respectively. So, you know, I could be totally wrong on all of this, and that like alt BTC pairs just like move very, very strongly all throughout the summer. Like that's entirely possible, and that's like another idea that I've had as well, because a lot of the alt BTC pairs really haven't moved strongly. But for now, I feel that like Bitcoin, we are going to see some ETH USD. I'm sorry, we are going to see some alt USD moves go up against their USD pairs, hit lower highs, and then come down. So like when price comes back up, this is the area that I will be de-risking a lot of my altcoins. I'll just go into USDT, and I'm happy to buy them higher if price goes up. Like, you know, if we hit like some sort of double top, like that's entirely possible. But I think that it's unlikely that price just like full on reverses and makes like a big V-shaped reversal and goes up to like all-time high levels. I think that's pretty unlikely, in my opinion. Like the altcoin charts look pretty fucked up overall. Like there are some that look pretty okay. Like Matic looks fine still, but if you just look at all these other alt USD charts, like decentralized finance, this chart just looks bad. So overall, like for charts like this, like Matic, like Sushi, it wouldn't surprise me again to see like price kind of come up as Bitcoin goes to 45,000, and then it pulls back and then just ping pongs for a while. Like something like this would make a lot of sense to me personally, but that's kind of like my overall plan for altcoins. I'm still holding out hope that there's going to be a relief pump, and at that point I'll be de-risking a lot of my bags. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm happy to be back, and I will be going and recording a lot this week. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you for the support.